everyone. Welcome to our Zoom open house today that we are doing for AAC Awareness Month. First, I would like to acknowledge the first people of this country. In the spirit of reconciliation, the Assistive Technology Australia acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea, and community. We pay our respect to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today. We would like to set some housekeeping rules for today's session. We will be recording this session, so please turn off your audio and video throughout the session. There will be no live chats or Q&A sessions, but if you have any questions, you're welcome to contact us via info line or email us. I will share the details at the end of the presentation. We have two speakers today from Assistive Technology Australia's team, Caitlin Weir, who is an AT mentor and AAC user. Caitlin is a social worker and studied at Newcastle University. She's using a mini-speak device since the age of 12. She often mentors others who are just starting on their AAC journey. And our second speaker today is Aparna Bakshi. She's overseas qualified and has masters in neuroscience. She has mixed experience of hospital pediatrics and aged care sector. So today we're going to address few questions we have received in relation to the 3 articles we published on our Facebook page for AAC Awareness Month. So each question, Aparna will provide her perspective from the allied health point of view, and Kate will provide her perspective from the consumer point of view. So now over to you, Aparna and Kate, to continue today's session.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this event. And thanks, Dayani, for that lovely introduction. As she's already mentioned, we'll be picking a few questions and trying to address them through this session. I will begin straight to the first question here, which talks about use of AAC as an early intervention and its impact on speech development. So as we all know, AAC stands for Augmentative and Alternative Communication, which is used in addition or instead of a spoken language. So it could be applicable to someone who has difficulty expressing themselves in everyday lives, or for someone who has difficulties with speech clarity, or who may find difficult, which may be difficult for someone to understand, especially unfamiliar listeners, or in case may struggle in initiating communication needed in some particular environments where the demands of communication is very high. So further to that, does someone stop talking if they use AAC? That's a question nowadays raised a lot of times. Research has proven that AAC does not hinder speech development. In fact, it further supports speech development in the form of word finding and building sentences and further, encouraging communication. So does it create any dependency? Now, some children might develop speech as they grow. They no longer use AAC, but some AAC can be a lifelong source of communication for some users. So it's very difficult to predict the course of communication development for someone, but it's very important to provide a different range of communication tools at an early age so that they can express their needs, as they grow. Now over to you, Kate, to share your views about that.
Today I am seeing kids getting AAC even much earlier than I did, which is awesome. The earlier the better, I feel, because then the child is just like any other child learning to communicate. Yes, they do communicate a little differently, but they are still developing. Speech and learning literacy are rasma that lucky to get AAC early in life. Well, I had a low-tech communication board that always used to fall off my lap. I used to communicate my which I did not T used to really use sentences. I would spell out a couple of words, and that is that I did not T get communication device until I was 12. Therefore, to answer this question, yes, I was behind in speech development and literacy until I did get my communication device. However, within this time I did read a lot of books to improve my literacy and so on. And of course, mainstream schooling helped from not only the learning sides of things, but the social aspect and seeing my peers communicate with each other. My speech development was certainly built when I got communication device. However, it happened slowly because I'm used to only communicating my needs and not having conversations or asking questions. A lot of people think WinSpeak ruins literacy. However, you have to know adjectives, verbs, nouns, pronouns before starting learning WinSpeak. Therefore, I don't feel this is true. However, everyone is different and learn at different speeds.
Yeah, I think it's a very valuable input which Kate has given from her own experience, and we will go to the next question now, which is about the obstacles and the challenges in the effective use of AAC. Now, I'll try to cover briefly as the main challenges which occur when people are using a device and what are the major challenges coming in when they use that. So first of all, I would like to talk about the availability of AAC systems. So it's very important that this AAC system is available for the user in all the possible situations and not in specific situations, because that will increase their familiarity and confidence in using them. And the main responsibility is to convince others of the need for the system to be available in the user to the user in all the situations in which the user wants it. So motivation is one of the major things I think which needs to be addressed, so that they're not just using the device when they receive it, but there is a consistency of using this device at all times. Another aspect to this is the range of communication partners. So we know that we must know that no amount of sophisticated technology will produce satisfactory communication if users do not use it with a variety of people to communicate with and also with some meaningful topics when they are doing that. So it's very important that if for anyone who is speech challenged also needs to talk to everyone who are able-bodied and who have no communication difficulties, and only then it's 100% success. The next thing which we have to look at is the accessibility. So in accessibility, the portability, the accessing and the mounting of the AC system needs to be reviewed if there are any issues surrounding that. Those who work directly with the AAC users, they must contact the manufacturers if the technology is not meeting the needs of the user. That's very important. And the next thing which I'll consider here is the training of communication partners. Now, I have to make sure I tell you that we would talk about this particular aspect of training of communication partners in detail in one of the questions which will be coming. So relevant and ongoing training is essential so that the speech and language therapists can be up to date with the rapid changes of technology. And a high degree of dependence are there for the carers because the carers are the ones working with the AAC users. So a proper increase of training and upskilling of the carers is very important when they are using the device. Amount of time needed for AAC, what is important here to say that learning to use the system can be arduous, and it is time consuming and must be supported by adequate training and therapy for the users. So more time is needed and more time has to be allotted for this to happen, especially who are involved with the AAC users. There is a particular need for intervention, which is not restricted to the clinical setting, but which is also involved with the AAC users' real communication in the real environment. The next aspect which we can talk here is of the vocabulary. Now, the vocabulary which is chosen has to match with the person's age, the person's culture, the interest, and the previous experiences and everything. And only then the use of AC system will be successful in all situations. Apart from this, what needs to be taken care of is the modes of communication. So I will be elaborating this in detail in one of the questions coming. So there has, if a multimodal approach is followed, that will be very valuable. It is essential that the partners take users' own preference of mode of communication into account. Thus, it would be unhelpful to insist or expect that AAC users should rely upon their system in every situation. So for many people, it is appropriate to use an AAC system only as a backup to some other modes of communication. So we will be covering this in detail in one of the coming questions. Next thing would be finding the funding resources, which has always been a very important aspect when a person wants to use the AAC system. And the device acquisition, last but not the least, but which is necessary for the effective use of device in day-to-day activities. So I will just over to you, Kate, now for sharing your view on this.
Look at Rasna Euroti difficult. I had a need to communicate. I called the Euroti till therefore I had no choice. But then I know that Rasna Euroti is easy for everybody. That is my personal story. Everybody is different. I had problems changing communication devices because they are like another body part, and when something different is put in front of you, do freak out. I feel this is because you know you are going to have to learn it, and this will take time. However, you want to communicate straight away, therefore you have no time. You can a Euroti win and you get frustrated. However, I think the most difficult thing is communicating slower than other people. A lot of the time people wait for my responses. However, when someone is worked up, angry or excited, they do a Euroti thing to wait time left, frustrated because I didn't know Euroti get to say what I want. Therefore, the person has more power. I feel that this will always be a disadvantage for AAC users. As much we can educate the community, there will always be people who don't have Euroti rates in response, especially if the person is emotional. The ice no Euroti going to be helped. I joke, I want something to read my brain. However, at ice no Euroti going to come anytime soon. I don't know Euroti think. It is also difficult because the communication device has no emotions. You may want to sound happy, sad, tired, however it is going to get received wrongly.
Yeah, those are the things I think we have to take care of and address, and it should be an ongoing address of issues with respect to this. Next I would like to talk here is about the importance and role of communication partners in AAC. So we especially the new communication partners who are coming in the role. So people having communication difficulties should be offered all kind of support to improve their level of communication. And to maximize the benefit of using a communication device, training the communication partners is very crucial. And that's the core of the success of the user using the device. So who are these communication partners? They can be teachers, they can be parent, they can be carers or a friend or anyone. This is very essential so as to support the AAC strategies, as this is very important to note that the person using an AAC device to express their needs and wants effectively and for their overall well-being and their sense of control over the environment. So the speech pathologists are the people, are the professionals who are actively involved in this training process. Training might change or occur according to the kind of environment where the user is using the device. And how does this training occur? Although this is a very elaborate thing, I'll just try to cover very salient features of this. So first of all, providing proper knowledge and resources to the communication partner. It can occur through instruction or interaction, and at the same time, ongoing education would be essential part, as one-off training may be required, especially if there are any new features added or any new accessibility features added and things like that for a successful implementation of AAC device. I would like to quote a few things here, such as positioning and reach of a device, to check every time that the device or the piece of equipment which the user is using is well within reach. Teaching communication and teaching the operation and logistics of the communication device. So the communication partner also needs to get accustomed to the kind of device the user is using, allowing enough time to the AAC user to respond. I think Kate has already quoted on this before, that there has to be that time period which should be allotted, and we have to be patient when the person is responding. Giving opportunities to the client for the AAC device for expressing a need, say by keeping an object further away from them, further away from their field of vision, and letting them, talk about it through the device. Upskilling the communication partners is very important, as I already mentioned. If there are any new addition, any new features which they are not aware of, because that's going to create a block in the communication, and that's going to affect the AAC users' way of communication. So it's very important. Using aided language stimulation process, and I think I'm going to discuss about this later, where the communication partners are taught to combine speech and symbols from a device to convey a message. So if the person is like putting away a piece of clothing or something, then they have to express it for the user, saying, you're putting it up, you're putting away the shirt, you don't like it. So this is one example of that. So I think over to you, Kate, now, so to express your views on the same.
Everyone has communication partners. You go to the hairdressers. She is your communication partner as you want, telling her how you want your hair, and she is responding. Therefore, she is your communication partner. Actually, everyone who you communicate with is your communication partners. We listen and we communicate back. All of us may do this a little differently due to our disability. Therefore, there has to be understanding that there will be pauses and we may need a little extra support at times. However, I think communication partners are most important when you are receiving your first communication device.
Yeah.
You were scared, you have a lot to learn. The communication partner can learn with you. Someone to encourage you and observe the problems you are having. Therefore, they can work out how to overcome these. I met a young lady last year who was just starting on her AAC. She had intellectual disability and she had a lot of distractions going on. Her support workers were her communication partners who she thought highly of. They acted as role models for her. She thought, if I can do this, so can I. It worked.
Yeah, very important. That's very important sharing, Kate. Thanks for that. And now we'll look at the next question, which is the importance of aided language stimulation and the different strategies very briefly here, because it's a very vast topic to cover. So I'll just try to cover things which are more meaningful and which can be more conveying at the moment. So what is aided language stimulation? It is the process of modeling the AAC language in everyday settings. The communication partner talks to the person while also pointing the keywords on the person's AAC system. So it's what is AAC is actually, it enhances the person's expressive language skills. So it's not about what the learner is doing. It is about what you are doing and saying. That's the core of aided language communication. So and how does this occur? How this whole process occur? So there are different ways. You know, the first one is like looking at the behavior and the body language of the person. So if you see the person is tired, then you would say, oh, you're yawning. You must be tired. So this is one example of that. Or as I already mentioned, if the person is putting away a t-shirt away, then you would say, you're pushing it away. You don't like it. So you can see that how it is getting meaningful for the person who's using the device and using this language to integrate in the device. Or describing, like if you are doing an activity, such as example, like playing with a Play-Doh, you could describe it by saying, you're cutting and I'm rolling Play-Doh. Or commenting. So if there is a situation, then you could say that it's funny, it's very noisy. So this would be an example of that. asking open-ended questions. So not asking questions which would have direct answer like a yes or no, that's not the point, but more like what's happening, what will you do next, or what color is this, or something like that. Those will be the open-ended kind of questions. And from access point of view, it is important that you make more understandable kind of statements like I need to go to colors. So all this you may need direct access on most occasions, but model using the alternate access method every now and then. Or social skills. So like in how it would be like for a normal speech person would be for in a social situation, like cracking a joke or greetings and things like that. So those are the things which needs to be taken care of when we talk about aided language stimulation. And apart from that, just very generally, I will just talk about few strategies which are involved here. So like first one is accessibility. So every time the user, when they're using any kind of low-tech or high-tech device, we have to make sure that the device is always accessible and reachable. This is the core thing which needs to be considered. If the person is using a high-tech system, you may also want to print out hard copies if needed in that situation, which needs to be done. Or, the next example would be like keywords. So you may begin to model keywords only. So what would be the high frequency kind of word. So if they want to point on, I want to kick the ball. So you could point to, I kick it. So, you make those keywords for them. So that's how it will happen. Or exploring. So as I already mentioned before, for the person who is working with the communication partner, what I'm talking about, who is working with the user, make sure that you are very well versed with the device yourself, because then only you're able to know how to explore the vocabulary. And as already mentioned, for the device to be successful for the user to use, you have to make sure that you are accustomed to the device and you're knowing what kind of vocabulary would be relevant for the user who is going to use the device. Next thing would be like starting one activity and then progressing to next. So starting one activity, breaking it down into, chunking it, into different steps, seeing how the steps are working through, and then going to the next activity. So, progressing, what we call progression from one activity to the next, that would be very important. And last but not least, this strategy of reflecting, where you're actually recording conversation with your user and yourself. And when after recording, you're reflecting and seeing how this all is syncing in together. And if something is not syncing in together, what changes need to be made for the device to be successful for the next use. So I think I just tried to cover very few aspects here. Now over to you, Kate, for your responses.
This is most important. Remember earlier when I spoke about the young lady I met learning her AAC with her support workers. In life we get so motivated when we see others doing something we want to learn to do. Also, this technique involves the communication partner pointing to symbols, therefore the user learns the patterns and pathways. This user learns the exact sequence of words. I actually mentored someone years ago using this technique. He was using a Minspeak device but a different number of icons, so a lot of his sequences were different to mine. However, we had a different icon sequences for a lot of words. To overcome this difference, we had a software package which I could type a word using my pathway, and the software would convert it to sequences and show him the pathway. To start with, you ask your OT up to the question-answer kind of conversation, so he has spent some time with me typing a couple of words and he would copy. It really helped, especially when we did words I knew he was going to use frequently.
Yeah, that's lovely. That's very important input cases giving us. And looking into that, I would just go into the next question here, which talks about what are the different access options in low-tech devices and accessibility features in the high-tech device. So, Yeah, so we will talk about the different light tech options for the AAC device. Because the light tech AAC are communication materials which we know that we do not require batteries to operate. It includes communication books or communication boards or the timetables and things like that. And in this case, there are different ways in which the communication partner works with the user, especially with having physical or visual disabilities, and who find it difficult to use these light tech materials. So several methods may be used to help them access their light tech AAC material more easily and effectively. So several examples I can just try to quote here just briefly. So one of them is partner assisted scanning, where the partners provide scanning by showing, pointing, or speaking the names of the items. The light tech AAC user indicates using a yes or no for each item they want to select. Now, scanning can be visual, it can be auditory, or it can be both visual and auditory, depending on the user's needs. And the next access option is about the eye pointing. Now, in this eye pointing, the user may select items by looking at them. So the communication partner observes the user's eyes and the item the user is using to determine the message. So systems which use eye pointing are often placed between the user and the communication partner with a small observation window through which the partner can observe the user's eyes. So that's one way of doing it. And the next one we will look at is the sensory feedback. So obviously for the clients who have visual difficulties or visual disabilities, obviously adding dots or Velcros, they will help in recognizing the items, as we know with touch. So it's to do with the sensory feedback. Another thing which we can look up here is the color contrast. So bright colors are generally the easiest to be used because of their ability to reflect light. Solid bright colors, such as red, orange, yellow, they are very bright and very, they stand out. So high color contrast of inverted colors is something with people with visual needs can find it very helpful. Layout, again, is a very important aspect where using a larger cells or thickening the borders between the cells, they can help for those who can use their finger, fist, hand to point out and who have poor motor control or things like that. So color coding is another part of it. Then the pointers. So pointers is like the pointers they are attached to the hand or wrist or head, wherever the person needs are, where person's needs are, and they provide an alternative method of accessing those light tech AC for people with limited hand use activities. Apart from that, I would also talk about a few of the accessibility features here. And so with the accessibility features, we'll very briefly take those into consideration. For touch features, I will just name a few of the options here, which is like using initial touch for selection, or it is a switch access or a guided access or a hold duration. These are the different accessibility features for high-tech devices. And for the visual, for people having vision difficulties, it would be obviously about the braille display and the color filters or the zooming or the speak text option and things like that. So I think over to you, Kate, for sharing your responses.
ITA Circumflex Euro SEZ technology has brought new access options for us to enjoy. However, I don't feel this is true. The same access options are always been around, but then they done manually on low tech. For example, I can use a switch to do scanning on my high-tech device. However, on low-tech, the communication partner uses their hand or voices to scan through the choices, and the AAC uses a signal when they come to the selection they want to choose. Similarly, we have all this new tech for using eyes gaze. However, it can be done on low tech by the AAC user looking at the selection they want to choose, and the communication partner confirms that ITA Circumflex Euro is what they want. Personally, IA Circumflex Euro have always been a switch scanner, which I still do today on my low tech device, which is my phone. However, when I started high school, trying to keep up in the classroom was difficult when scanning, and so I tried direct access, which I taught myself to type, which was a lot faster. I did try eye gaze, however, it was not for me. I like to say my brain works at Gilmore Girls speed, and therefore I was looking at all of these icons and going between them quickly, and the eye gaze system called me to keep up. Not every access option is for everyone, so please stay true to yourself, although your therapist may be telling you something different.
Yeah, Kate, thank you so much for sharing that response. It's so much valuable because we get that feeling, the life feeling there, what we are presenting here, because that's the Kate's response supports it and makes it more meaningful for everyone here, isn't it? Yeah. So now we'll go to the next question, which is about the impact of using the combination of a low-tech and high-tech device on promoting effective AAC use. Now, we know that communication is complex, and it's just as we constantly use, we as able-bodied could use the communication with, with combinations. We use facial expressions, gestures, body language, in addition to our speech. So that's the normal process of communication, which usually happens when we are trying to communicate with someone. Similarly, people with communication challenges could potentially benefit from multimodal communication to convey their message. As we know, low-tech AAC comprises of tools and strategies which do not require batteries and which are less expensive as compared to the high-tech ones. And the examples are like picture exchange systems, the symbol charts, communication boards, communication books, which we have already mentioned. Low-tech systems, they might not be as flamboyant as the high-tech counterparts, but a low-tech AAC can come in handy in certain physical environments and situations. And the interesting fact is that using a combination of this low-tech and high-tech together will enhance a person's language development. And I'll further try to code this and explain how this would be like. For example, low-tech users, they can use a laminated communication chart that may be useful in demanding environments like pools and beaches. You can also use that low-tech device as a backup communication. This is very important. In case the high-tech AAC device runs out of charge or it's not functional anymore for that moment, I think the low-tech AAC would be a very good backup there. You can take a printout of your child's or a client's vocabulary, and you can keep it in the purse or in the car as a backup again. So backup is one of the important things to be taken into account here. In addition, there are apps which have handy feature where you can print a person's vocabulary, and you download it from the app and keep it and take a print of it and keep it with yourself. By using a combination of low tech and high tech, it is like the person is getting the best of both worlds. So users must be encouraged to use multimodal source of communication that enable them to communicate across all different kinds of environments and situations. So when used with conjunction with the high-tech system, I think the AAC devices are powerful communication tools. It's a powerful communication solution. And to support this thing, I think Kate would have a very good response for me to explain this further, actually. So over to you, Kate.
Back up, back up, back up. Most important. The reality is communication devices die from time to time, and therefore you need backup. Your communication device dies. What are you going to do? Stop communicating. No. This is a huge anxiety trigger for all AAC users. Now, if you're lucky enough to have a high-tech backup, awesome. Easy transfer, not a lot of change. However, I'm going to be honest, and the ISWROT like to fund backup communication devices. They say you have one communication device that is enough. Your anxiety to go with that is not within their decision making. So you need both low and high tech. Also let a Euro S think about the times when you can a Euro T have your communication device mounted in front of you. The bathroom. In the car if you have to take your AAC away. Swimming and exercising. On an airplane. And many other situations. What are you going to do? Not communicate. I don't know, Euro T thinks so. You need low-tech also. Most important. Also, what if you have a disability that changes day to day? If you are well, you could have the ability to manage your communication device. However, if you're having a bad day, sick in bed, you are going to need low-tech.
Yeah, I think Kate has supported this answer really well to make it more understandable for everyone. Thank you, Kate, for that response. And we will come to the last question today for our presentation, which we have tried to take about the speech generating device versus tablet use. So what is best? So over here, I would just try to share a very general overview of a speech generating device, what would be the challenges here, and also with using a normal mainstream tablet. So with the speech generating devices, we all know that they are high-tech devices and they're specifically manufactured and designed as a communication device. They range from simple to sophisticated with a wide range of specifications and options. So we compare the high end with the dynamic display to mainstream tablet. Now, I'll just talk about the features of the speech generating device very briefly here, that this device is dedicated, the software, the hardware and the software is dedicated for communication purpose only. Integrated communication software, the communication software here is already installed in the device, and the access options are also there. So, they range from touch screen to direct selection using hand, head pointing, eye gaze, switch access, scanning methods. So everything is already integrated in a speech generating device. Whereas in a mainstream tablet, as we all know, it's for public use. So it has a wide range of use, ranging from education, entertainment, productivity. It has wide range of use for it. A mainstream tablet can be turned into a communication device if you download a communication application on it. So that's the very general difference between SGD and the mainstream tablet. Now, what are the factors we need to consider to choose SGD or as against to our mainstream tablet as a communication tool? And over here, I will just try to have a very brief differences between the two, and what are the different challenges, or what are the uses of using that each, the peculiarity of the each thing about it. So the speech generating device is more durable, but it's less portable. So mounting options are always to be thought of. Whereas a mainstream tablet is lightweight and it's less durable. So, when suddenly iPad falls down, it will break. With the speech generating device, the stand, sound system, the speakers and all are built in, but for a tablet, you might need a case, a stand, or a speaker. We know that the speech generating device may need warranty and maintenance in due course of time, whereas this tablet is more of general public familiarity is there using with that. Suppliers definitely provide a consumer support when it comes to SGD, whereas for a tablet, we know that the support and training is not directly available. You might have to look up at different online videos or forums to understand the usage of the same. SGD is more expensive, so we have to look at the different government schemes and the funding options to buy SGD device. And I think Kate is going to speak about it, about what are the real issues of getting the SGD as one of AC system, whereas a mainstream tablet is more affordable. Now we know that the SGD is the suppliers can provide trialing. A lot of suppliers provide with trialing options, whereas with the tablet, we know that the full version of apps may not be available before we purchase. So we might not be able to try it before we purchase the different app options available. Then the multiple access methods, as I've already mentioned, like eye pointers, gaze, eye gaze, and things are already added to the device for SGD. But for a mainstream device, we might have to look up for the built-in accessibility features, and other access methods may need to be added on in due course of time as the challenges occur. So those were the different features of each device which I tried to compare here. Now over to you, Kate, to share your response here.
I think apps on a tablet are awesome. This is apps are no way as expensive. In the future, if you don't a EuroT like the app, you can afford to change without spending a lot of money. Also, it is up to you what tablet you choose, and you can use it for other purposes. However, for me, I like Euro S because of my movements. I need something more solid. I know as my EuroT going to break. Also, these are made for communication. They have the best of the best communication features. Also, you can a EuroT get a lot of keycards for tablets, which is most important for me. Personally, I think the speech is clearer on Euro S.
All right. Yeah, Kate. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that response here. And I think we kind of have covered most of the questions here. And as Gayani has mentioned before, if you have any more questions or queries, we are more than happy to answer through the email for that. But we won't be able to cover them in this presentation here. So over to you, Gayani, for to follow up with the rest of the part of giving the contact details and all.
Yeah. Thanks, Aparna and Kate. I'm sure everyone took away valuable information from today's session, which will help you to make informed decisions. So we will upload this video to our Facebook page. I will share, as Aparna and Kate mentioned, I will share the, sorry, as Aparna and Kate mentioned, you're welcome to, if you have any questions, you're welcome to contact us. Also, you can, as we are going to upload this video to our Facebook page, you're welcome to share this video within your network. So thanks again, everyone, and stay safe.
Yeah, thank you all. Thank you all for joining.